Welcome to the new Sex and Happiness with Lori Handlers and her partner Michael Gibson. You're about to dive into a world where amazing sex is just around the corner. And happiness is available to everyone at any age. It's time to learn a little, laugh a little, and explore sex and intimacy from every angle.
Welcome to another episode of Sex and Happiness, the show about sex and happiness, your sex and your happiness, actually. I'm Lori Handlers.
I'm Michael Gibson.
And today we're going to speak about, well, here's why we're going to speak about it. We just got asked a question on the internet. Somebody asked us, how do you keep your ego out of sex? How do you keep your ego away from when you're having sex with your partner? Yeah.
I mean, that begs the question, what is ego doing inside of your sex?
Oh, you don't think some people have performance? They perform and they have performance anxiety. And like there are men who don't know if they're going to be able to get it up and their ego is on the line. And there are women who they're more in their masculine and they feel like they have conquest going on. You know, I know about some of that. You know about some of that. Your ego was, what are you doing? Yeah. But how long ago was it?
How long ago was it that I haven't had ego in my sex?
How long ago was it that you have had ego in your sex?
I have ego in my sex every time I have sex. What are you talking about? The question I asked was, what the hell is ego doing in sex? I mean, but it's such a natural thing. It's normal, right?
Yeah.
It is.
Well, how do you leave your ego behind?
Oh, that's a different question altogether.
Okay.
And that's a good question. I'm glad you asked it. But yeah, it's so, as you stated, there's all the ways that our ego gets in the way or gets into our interactions and relating when we're making love or when we're involved in the sexual process. But really, what should we be there? I hate to should on everybody, but what should be arising?
You mean like what's a more evolved place to come from?
Ding.
So the question is, how do you have a more evolved way of relating than your performance or your ego getting hurt or whatever? How can you have a more evolved way of relating? So the first thing is like, do you have a goal? What are you trying to accomplish? To me, the act of sex is connection, it's vibration, it's intimacy, it might be magic. Mm-hmm. It's the god and the goddess meeting, and in the physical plane and other planes. There's so many reasons that two people or five people, I don't know, that people would have a sexual encounter. So if the ego is there, it seems to me that someone's not going to be present. They're going to be monitoring. Their attention is going to be on self. And if their attention is on self, I just don't think that's the right place to be. Yeah. The attention could be on pleasure, my pleasure, your pleasure. The attention could be on service, my serving you, you serving me. But if I'm worried, if I'm concerned about how I'm coming across or performing, or if I'm doing it right, or if you're doing it right, or like all the ways that my head could get involved, I'm robbing the experience of something.
Yeah. Well, let me give an analogy, I think, that might flesh this out a little bit.
Okay.
This analogy is you show up to a party and you show up with all kinds of goodies. You have like a 12-pack of the people's favorite beer or bottles of wine. You show up and you just have you have it all that's available and you're bringing it to the party. The question is, what is your intention for that? Is it so people will look at you and go, wow, look how cool he is, or look how awesome he is and generous and what a great person he is. Oh man, is that why you're doing it? Or are you doing it because you're bringing something to the party? Because you're actually in service to this event that's taking place. This is the difference between ego and someone who's actually involved in the present, in being present and the presentation of a memory, a life that's lived. It's completely different.
Yeah. Yeah. So how to get your ego out of the way is to just surrender, which when I say just surrender, like
it's big.
It's not an easy thing to surrender. It takes practice. It may take coaching, being coached by someone. It may take reading my book, Sex and Happiness. I have a whole chapter about surrender. Surrendering to my pleasure is my secret. Like when I surrender to my pleasure, then I can receive from you. When I surrender to my pleasure, I can serve you in however movement moves me. It's like a Lottie Han. I'm not worrying about, I'm not going to do this technique and that technique and something I read about or something in the Masters and Johnson book. Like, I don't care. Like what the best sexual connection for me is when I'm out of the way and I'm simply in service to pleasure.
So surrender is one of the first ways to gain access to this. Another way is through presence. And you have a chapter in your book, Sex and Happiness, called The Witness, right? And so this is where presence comes in, to be present and to be the witness, to allow your witness to experience everything that's happening, that's unfolding as it unfolds, is another way that you can access this powerful thing that's happening between 2, 3, 4, 5, however many people, or even solo. Even if you're alone,
even solo,
you want to bring presence and surrender into the mix. What's another one that we can use?
Like another principle
or practice?
To communicate in advance. So we have ways that we communicate in advance. We do a ritual before we connect, and we say desires, fears, and boundaries. And once we've said that, it's like, okay, like we set the stage, we set the
container.
The container, we set the way that we're going to be. And so we don't give it much more worry after that.
Yeah. After that, it's more, are we fulfilling on those desires, and are we protecting each other from our fears, and also making sure that our boundaries are held with honor?
Yeah. And we also have ways that we communicate. So, I mean, we're not going to teach a whole course right now, but we were asked that question. And so if one person has that question, we think other people have that question. How do you keep your ego out of away and off your sex partners? And you do. Yeah. You just do because you do. You do because you desire to, and you communicate, and you surrender, and surrender, and you witness.
That's right.
So there you have it. Now, we want to say a word to you about, first of all, I want you to visit the new website. It's still in development stage, but it's beautiful. It's lauriehandlers.com. And you can find out more information about us there. Also, we want to mention GoLove, which GoLove is a new sponsor, and it's a wonderful lube that has CBD in it, and it takes away. It actually frees you to get out of your ego a little bit more. Like it allows you to relax a little bit more.
Yeah,
it's really great. And our affiliate code is
Sex and Happiness.
Yeah,
we'll make sure that we put a link at the bottom or in the description here underneath. And yes, Sex and Happiness, you'll get 10% off. GoLoveCBD.com is the website.
And you should definitely try it.
Definitely.
We like it.
We love it.
So that, and then please tune in to our next show when we'll have another tip or tips about how to relate, like what it is to be sexy and happy, how to have sex and happiness. That's really our focus.
Truly.
Yeah. So we'll see you next time. Please tune in again. Much love.